Thank you, Edwin. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Wayne Duchesne, and I'm going to be the chairperson for today. But I'm here to really get off the playing field a little bit and spend some time with, and it's a great honor to spend time with our clients and have a conversation that we believe is very necessary between ourselves and our customer base. So as you saw, IntelliBlast sort of proposes that conversation, and I'll take you through it now. You know, it's very tough economic times at the moment, and as you all know, that the commodity slump has challenged us all, and obviously that's made us rethink our things as a supplier. We're restructuring our company, but everybody around us seems to be restructuring. It reminds me of a story where two ladies were in the good times very heavyweight socialites in Sandton, and as the obviously tough times came, one of them remained as a wealthy socialite, but went to movies one night and came out of the movies and saw her previous socialite friend on the pavement, you know, conducting what is the oldest profession in the world. And there was like, she said, "Good heavens, what are you doing on the street here?" And she turned around and said, "Well, if it's either this or I start dipping into my capital." So those of us obviously who are dealing with cash preservation know it, and all of us, I'm sure, are either in your professional life or even personally. But I think what we're trying to do here is say, well, there's going to be further accelerators around us that are going to cause more and more difficulties, more and more challenges in the business. So we've got to remain relevant in all of this movement in certainly world terms and what's going on around in our own country. I think we're firmly of the belief that AL can have a constructive conversation, even though there's these buffeting forces sorting us all out on a day-to-day basis. So we've come up with a bit of thinking, and I'm going to give you a bit of context just to give you a bit of a story before I get into IntelliBlast. But 5-6 years ago, AL started what we called the value proposition, and that really was the start of a conversation we wanted to have with our clients. And you'll notice it was basically based on 5 pillars, and in short, it was embedded in R&D ideas, moving on to technical, getting it working on the mine, obviously through a certain delivery system, through mining optimization, and then of course, and primarily, the results for our clients, with the blasting outcomes, and planning, executing, and measuring. And the underlying philosophy of that was obviously to solve blasting problems at source. You use a lot of energy at source there, let's use it properly. Optimize energy expenditure and improve mine to mill. And over time, this conversation has been taking place. And I'm happy to say in some cases we've done well, some cases we obviously got opportunity for improvement. But having a look at why this started, these were the type of blasting episodes we were picking up. This is a mine, we got it all wrong, overly enthusiastic blast planning. Yeah. That, by the way, took nearly 3 months to clean up, that sentinel. And I might tell you, there's sentinels in our customers' areas, big sentinels, similar to that size, that have had to be taken care of. So we started seeing, hang on, we got to engage to try and get a more sophisticated debate going than other than just procuring explosives, putting in the ground, and moving on. Here's another one, and thank you to Gerard who allowed us to use this. But this is just seeking opportunities. Not a bad blast, but if you slow this down, you'll see there's lots and lots of opportunities, like these big rocks here coming out of the high wall inside the muck pile, damaging the drag line, crest failure, lots of fly rock, lots of toxic fumes, and of course blasting on top of each other. If there's misfire, that blast would sit on that blast. So lots and lots of opportunity over a journey that we embark upon to get this improved. And I'm happy to say Gerard is here today to discuss some of that. Then, of course, with AL and our partnership with Thiess in Australia, we've managed to achieve huge control. And I've got to thank Thiess and Nigel and the team that are here that produces blasts like this, where those assets are 200 meters away from that blast. And you've got such optimal control over that blast, now you can deliver these sort of things. Now, granted, it's in pursuit of the perfect blast, because there are clients that want to probably have a cast and throw blast. So yes, there is going to be rock flying around and moving places, but in that case they wanted it to stay in situ, and that's what it delivered. So we started realizing that and our overseas exposure, clients want different things. Mining guys are sitting down and planning and saying, right, how do we want this rock pile to look? That's for drag lines, that's for front end loaders, that's for scoops. Or should I say back scoops. That's the power trough. What's the size of the power trough? How do you want it thrown? And you can run through the drilling, through how it's tied up, through the type of explosives and matching the right explosives to the rock. There's a perception, procurement, sit and make a decision, obviously sell to sell about pricing. But does that explosives match the rock that you're mining? And is the energy doing what you want it to do? And of course, confining the energy, and Gerard Stencil's here today to discuss that with stemming and of course timing. And then the most important area is the results it gives you on the outcome of your blast. And you can measure now how your capital equipment is digging that dirt out. So this is the sort of underpinning philosophy of how we started thinking about IntelliBlast and saying what intelligence sits in either a service or a product that it can assist our clients to help them with their balance sheets, help them with their cash preservation. So we then decided to sit down and think a lot harder about it. But before we did that, we tried to understand the behavior of what's happening in the industry. Now, things are tough, and you'll notice a graph that makes quite a lot of sense of why this conversation needs to happen. But you'll notice cost management, cash preservation, a big theme in the mining industry. And when guys get into this space, the reactions or behavior sort of follows this kind of trend. Where initially in the first year, they go to the supplier and ask for reduced prices. They'll reduce manpower plans. People get retrenched, obviously, rebalancing capital. The accountants turn off the capital taps. And then that sort of 2-3 year space, then you get into this human technology interface and redevelop mine plans. Now, case in point here, you probably heard how many mines have pulled back production. Sishen, for an example, it's eye-watering numbers, like 60 million tons has been stopped mining. So, and obviously this is the difficult journey because the impact here is lower and the ease of execution is obviously more difficult as you go along. But that's what IntelliBlast starts addressing, is we're saying, let's live in this space over here and have the correct conversations around these types of technologies and products. So, you saw the introduction, and we'd like to formally now introduce this as the centerpiece of our conversations with our clients. And obviously, as we've pointed this out in the introduction, I'm not going to belabor that point. And of course, let me just go back to that, is I think this sits then as the promise. So the promise is what IntelliBlast will deliver on those 4 pillars. Then of course you sit back and say, well, what about the how? Well, we've gone through those, and this is what I want to have a quick conversation about today. Now, the depth of this is not anywhere close to where it should be for this presentation, but I'm going to take you through some of the thinking that might stimulate food for thought, which is the purpose of today, that we can further engage after this event around IntelliBlast. I think the first one I want to show you is taking you to differentiated products. Now, through that previous value proposition and engagement in collaboration with our clients, some interesting things started happening. And the first one we started recognizing was in surface bulk emulsions. Just for an example, the old oil issue of using old oil on the mines came up. And obviously, cash preservation makes a lot of sense to do that. And why do we say that? Because now, in the use of old oil, you can range it from 40% to 80%, and we're trying to aim for 100%. How do we do that? Well, we've got an ability now to have an open loop. So in other words, it gets sent into the bulk plant, old oil mixed in the emulsion, sent to the mine, or you get the oil on the truck. You can either put the old oil on the truck, spray it into the prill for augering, or mix it into the emulsion. The truck does it for you. So any old oil lying around the site can be used, ring-fenced on that site, can be used in the MMU. Now the surprise in all of this, and this is where the intelligence starts, we started understanding that the calorific value inside the old oil is actually improving the performance of the bulk emulsion. Now that's a surprise. The intelligence then obviously switches on. And what does that mean? Well, we can move our burdens and spacings. And in some cases, we've got proof where we can move burdens and spacings up to 20-30%. So you're using less to achieve more in the blast. quite a nice and neat surprise there. So we're developing thought around those issues. Then you obviously can go on to all sorts of other proving points, which I'm not going to go through now. But the one I want to share with you is around electronics. And I'm thinking you're going to see the launch today of a new 4G platform on what we call IntelliShot. You will be exposed to it through the course of today, so I'm not going to spend time on that. What I will do, though, is I want to spend a little bit of time on something you possibly is not obvious to you. And this is more for the underground mines. And this, as you can see, is an installed central blasting system or central network. And this was born out of electronic initiation. It's now obviously something you can use on any given underground mine. And I just want to point out the control this offers you. Here's nearly in excess of 18,000 panels blasted a month that you have full control over through basically one electronic detonator hung on the whole network blasting all these panels. You've got such tight control on your blasting that you can do away with lots and lots of misfires. We've predicted the misfire rate here is lower than 0.004%. So that's just some of the stats to give you an idea. Sorry, I seem to have made a bit of a get back on track here. This is quite sensitive. Right, so if you go back to differentiated products, if you have a look at DigiDet, this is an interesting one where we've got a JV with a company called DetNet, and that company really has gone and looked at shock tube, which are easy to use systems, and that system really now has been able to be put onto an electronic detonator. So in other words, you get the perfect timing through a shock tube, which obviously is going to help with a lot of the clients in easy applications. Then you can go and have a look at why that philosophy started. That philosophy started because, just quickly, pyrotechnics is basically black magic. You can't get an accurate detonator with shock tube, so now with a pyrotechnic element, you now can put an electronic element in with a shock tube on the top. You might ask yourself sitting there, well, why would we do that? But I want to show you this video to give you a proof that you can't get sequential firing with shock tube. This is a 3-second delay. You can see the top holes are all shock tube to try and blast them in sequence over 3 seconds, and below here is the shock tube. You can see these shots going off. This is the timer up top there, firing 100% out of sequence. You just can't get an accurate time. When it comes to 3 seconds, you need to know where goes the shot there. 1 millisecond scattering. This just proves where when you're adopting certain technologies, you as a mine manager control, you going home or potentially playing golf, knowing you've installed control in your blast. Very good. Demonstration made intelligent choices. Right, so that then brings us to some of the ideas around delivery systems, what sometimes is not necessarily viewed as important. But we're seeing, because of cash preservation, the amount of money that you have to spend on capital equipment needs to be looked at all the time. So I'm just going to point out some case studies and proof points of what we have done. Some of a mine had a typical situation with 12 MMUs, mobile manufacturing units on a mine, doing 60.2 hours of loading to get a bench sorted out. But because of delivery systems and synergistic engineering around some of the technology out there, you could reduce those MMUs from 12 to 7, and then you get an improvement to 54 hours on the bench because you've got better pumping systems. So your capital equipment reduces by 42%, and you've got a 9% reduction in time. Then we go and add what is the rapid reloader, which gets to the bench to help the MMUs to stop traveling over long distances. And you get a further 23-hour improvement on the bench. So your CapEx obviously stays the same, and then you get a 61% improvement on time, which obviously assists you sweating that asset further. We got some nice developments using, having a look at inventory control. And this is a system I see Corey's here, we put this in at Zimbabwe Unki mine, where explosives can be dropped now to 240 is our current installation. They are striving to go to 500 meters, but some novel intelligent options here. Scoreboard showing your inventory, little hut where it gets green or red lights showing the mine manager what his stock looks like in the morning and the afternoon as he drives past. But let's look at the reason for conversation like this today. And it's very interesting to note that this is a decline, probably takes you 4 kilometers to come up to the surface to fill your prime movers. So this is a typical 180,000 ton mine. And we went and put a vertical drop in, first of all cutting all that distance out. And then we found another surprise. So they're only traveling 700 meters and the prime movers stay underground. But we found out from a cash perspective, we also then could remove 2 of the MCUs. So the CapEx expenditures there, your NPV improves. You got improvement from your base case, but improvement when you take out more equipment, and you get a 62% IRR. But what's important, that's just the financials, the fundamentals of the project. You get a saving equating to 10 to 15% of monthly explosives costs. Never mind the fuel and things you've saved around the driving up and down a decline. So these are the areas where
benefits of the application of vertical drop are reduced machinery on roadways, thus enhancing safety, reduction in diesel and maintenance costs for charging units, reduced surface infrastructure, and improved product shelf life.
Simple, easy, and relatively little stress. Right, and then you can go to an innovation for our contract
AEL Mining
market.
Services is
It's
proud
now
to
been
announce
developed
the launch of our
to,
new dual tanker,
Be able to
the
get
first
product
of its
in
kind
smaller
in the world.
blasts. Normally these big tankers with big
This
volume.
prototype aims to meet
inefficient.
customer requirements of reducing the
they've
need for
developed
separate
a
delivery
dual
of
tanker
fuel
where
and
ANPP
emulsion
can be
on certain
carried
blasts.
with emulsion and water, and this truck arrives at the smaller blasts.
By holding
It's
30
just
tons of
to load
split
up
final
and load
product
up
volume,
benches.
the dual tanker
Very
delivers the
inefficient,
precise
very
amount needed
efficient
for
manner
smaller,
versus
more
sending
targeted blasts
overkill,
in one go.
Over-engineered product or equipment to the bench. So, if we move on, this all sits now obviously in the world of knowledge. So what can we do with predictive software? Well, predictive software can get wrapped around this to be able to have a look at certain elements of your blast. So what you can do is with drones now, you see quite a lot of footage today, you'll see it coming. The drone will be launched. Drone, perfect high definition information. That drone allows you to have a look at your profiling, looking at your fly rock risk, your 3-dimensional burden evaluation, which are all these screen dumps over here. And you can look at 3D modeling of your blast hole as well to help you with your burden and your free face interface. You can look at your vibrational concerns or the seed waves for when you're close to homes or close to the infrastructure. You can look at the 3D modeling to ensure you have healthy crests, healthy floors, and life of mine is influenced over the long term. So the quality blasting done in 2016 influences the mine in 2030, 2035. So these are the areas where we're really getting a lot of computing power now to be able to look into these things and help you with your blasting. And then, of course, this all comes into Louis Valentin is here. I see one of our providers in the software game. He pulls this together basically into a IntelliHub. And in that IntelliHub, all the vibrational issues, decking, mass charges, all that comes together. You can look at the historical influence from data from previous blasts. And what it in a sense gives you is a before and after. And that before and after, which is either on a drone or from video footage, you can analyze your blast into better shape over time. So what it is in collaboration with AEL, I want to give you the knowledge to make better choices and decisions as leaders in the mining industry, to be able to make the intelligent decisions that assist you in the blast on a daily basis. Now, to finish off, I think Blast Consult speaks for itself. It's a consultancy that will come in and assist with various tools to assist you in getting this information. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time on here because I'm getting a bit tight on time, but there's some of the equipment that we can agree to use to give you this high definition data to be able to analyze your blasts. Right, so you might sit back and say, fine, well how's this going to, where do I fit in? I don't have a need for certain things. So we've come up with what we call the applications continuum. And that applications continuum really is where do we sit? So in this room, obviously, there are some contractors who have joined us. and there's obviously big multinational clients. So AEL can start at the beginning at a customer applied energy, so a bundle of products that goes to you, drop off from go in most cases. And then you get fit for purpose energy, where we start looking at in-hole delivery. Then we get to where we can do prime, low type and shoot, and rock on ground and deliver you a product in terms of blast outcome. And then the collaborative energy, where we can then look at full bench services, future smart technologies, and embed their performance bonds so we can hold us to account to certain outcomes. And then, of course, the optimal energy, where we integrate rock as the preparation for further treatment. And, of course, when that's done properly, we can enter into profit-sharing situations in a formula that works for both parties. So this is just a real high view from the moon, flyover of IntelliBlast. We want to position this as the conversation with our clients in the future. And we're going to a lot of effort in the company to train up our frontline and our staff to understand these intelligent choices that you can make in the mining industry. So in closing, I'm not going to offer you the wish of smooth sailing in this regard. What I want to offer you in your future endeavors is to have fortitude and to have foresight. And that foresight to exist in bad times as equally so in good times. So we look forward to engaging with you today on IntelliBlast issues. The stand will also complement what I've said and obviously engage with you. And I'm really honored to have spent 20 minutes with you, and thank you for listening.